So what do you think liberation is? Most people think liberation is pleasure. They imagine them getting to a pleasure. So they imagine themselves getting to a heaven in the future, or to a place where they eliminate pain, or where they eliminate suffering. But they still imagine them getting there. They still imagine them experiencing the rewards of it, of liberation. But this is absolute death. You won't experience the rewards of it. There won't be you there anymore. There will just be what is, what's happening. There won't be a you there happy that you've got to liberation or pleased with all the bliss. That functioning will have gone. The you will be lost. There'll be nothing to look for anymore. That's what the me spends most of its time, or the person spends most of its time thinking about when it gets there. There won't be anything to look for anymore. That game of looking, that game of reading all the spiritual books, when will I get there, or planning to have kids, or planning to go travelling, that game of looking goes. It's not that actions don't happen, but there's no sense of looking for something better than what's happening, because there's not anybody there anymore. There's just what's happening. Thoughts still appear, but everything's appearing in boundlessness. It's not appearing for anyone anymore. So that person that grew up in England or Scotland or Mexico or Africa isn't experiencing what is anymore. There's just what is. If the me could comprehend this, it wouldn't want it. This is the death of you. It's the death of that one that was in love with trying to find love. Was in love with the game of hide and seek. And you might be sitting there complaining, thinking, no, I'm not in love with it. Fuck her, I'm not in love with it. I assure you, the me is absolutely in love with it. It's pissed off when it doesn't get it. Real pissed off. But that not getting it is part of the game. Haven't you ever noticed that when you get someone in a relationship, you lose interest? It's the chase that the me loves. When you feel you get them, you don't want them anymore. It's the same with everything. When you feel you've got it, you won't want it anymore. You'll be on to the next thing. Sometimes the relationships go on years and you don't feel you've got it. So there's still that trying to impress her, trying to get her. This is the end of that game. And that game has been a funky, fun and devastating experience. But that person that was born 20, 30, 40 years ago, that went to school, that had all these experiences, that travelled the world, that met lots of light and teachers, will not experience liberation. That person dies, and then the talking about the body or the character is just a practical communication in the moment for practical matters, or can be for conversation, whatever it is. That character is just something that appears spontaneous in the moment. There's no longer that you taking the descriptions of the body as who you are and living through that veil. There's just what is happening left. is just happening. And the me sits there and it longs for that. But it's not really longing for it. In one way it is, it's longing for home. But in another way it's longing to carry on looking. It never wants to end looking. Looking is the tick, 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 tick. Now we read the book, now we sit down and do this and do that and inform ourselves and learn about this and travel the world and work really hard to get the promotion. What's left when that person dies? What is? Just what's happening? The drinking of the tea, the light, the sounds, the smell. And life is as it is. It's no longer seen through these ideas and projections of someone. It doesn't make you a perfect person. It doesn't make the body a perfect person. It doesn't make the body a hero. It doesn't make the body special. It's just the absence of what I call suffering. Which is quite different. In a way you could say it's absolute emptiness and fullness at the same time, but this emptiness that the me has no clue about. This huge void, this huge silence that's so empty and so alone. Not lonely, alone and still. As that person collapses, this becomes absolute aloneness. There's nobody left anymore. There's no you, there's no others. Is this really what you want? You'll only get what you want. What will you do? What will the body do without the looking for liberation? Well, it will be happy. There's no more journeying because there's no more leaving home. This is it. This is it. And this is absolutely meaningless. This has no point, no purpose, and is going nowhere. This is forms appearing and disappearing for no reason at all. You're not going to get to a reason, you're not going to get to understanding, you're not going to get to meaning, you're not going to get to heaven. The collapse of all of that will happen. And then there's just this. Hey, Karen. This is loss, not a getting, not a becoming. This is losing.